Growing up hasn't really been easy for me. I always feel like I'm missing out, like there isn't enough time in the world to get to know others more and to do well in terms of studying, going to the gym, learning new things, or to love and be loved. So I slowly started closing people off. Of course, it wasn't just an instant, you have been blocked, because believe it or not, I care about what other people feel. It would be more subtle. I'd joke around, engage in conversations, but then as soon as it came to, come on, let's meet up here, or call me at 6 p.m, or please pick up the phone, silence. And maybe it's because I always got good grades and answered questions in class, or maybe it's because I always played sports and went to the gym, but I could pass it off as me just being locked in or focusing on myself. And while that's great, it was kind of a distraction, because the truth is, I couldn't feel a connection to anyone. That's not anyone's fault, that's on me. At least, that's what I've learned from this anime. The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity taught me it's always you. You have people around you who want to connect and feel your presence. But if you get stuck in the past, then you will never be able to experience that feeling of belonging ever again. This show taught me not to give up. When I first started watching The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, I had no clue what I was walking into. I am not a Guna, so I was treading lightly when it came to this side of anime. The only other similar anime I had watched was The Silent Voice, which also healed me in unimaginable ways. But this show caught me by surprise. To start with, the animation quality was beautiful, reminiscent of movies from Studio Ghibli, if you've ever seen those, and big budget anime studios like MAPPA. But something even more surprising were the characters, because as I watched it for the first time, I thought to myself, this is just going to be an anime where these group of guys from one school link up with a group of girls from another school, and since they're meant to be rivals, they have to be secretive about it, and I was totally ready to accept that plot for the next 13 episodes. But hell no. Saka Mikami had different plans for me. See what I did there? Because she's the writer of the show.
Shut your stupid.
From a first impression standpoint, Rintaro is designed to immediately read as, ooh, a big intimidating tough guy. You don't want to mess with him.
Oh my god, bro.
His height, expression, and the reputation of the school he goes to create a pretty conclusive picture of him. Yep, he's a thug. The audience is meant to make this judgment as soon as they see him. But then, as the narrative develops, his real character begins to shine through, because his actions go completely against that first impression. 1, he avoids conflict, 2, he behaves politely, and 3, he approaches situations with a level of restraint that pretty much entirely contradicts that dangerous image that you first thought of him. Another early takeaway is the way he socially distances. Not because he's gonna crash out at his friends or whoever tries to square up to him, but because he's cautious and self-contained. This creates a sort of weird dynamic where others in the show assume a lot about him from his appearance, but they never actually get to know the actual type of person he is. And since he grows so used to these assumptions, he just gives up entirely on trying to prove them wrong. Then we get introduced to probably the most likable character in any TV show, Waguri. She actually confesses that when she stared at Rintaro for the first time, it made her heart race. And because people usually look at this guy in straight up disgust, it's almost alien to him. She actually likes the way he looks. What? Then she hits him with the line, and all of those past judgments and memories of him being outcast because of the way he looked start flooding back one last time, as if he's slowly being let free, like a bird from a cage. You can't really undo years of trauma and self-doubt just because one girl smiled at you. So over the course of the next few episodes, we see him build a friendly relationship with Waguri and actually open up a little bit. And his friends start noticing, because if you've ever been with your friends and they're on their phone, smiling a little too much, or staring out the window daydreaming, 9 times out of 10, they're thinking about their girl or the girl they wish was their girl. Usually the second one. But yeah, his friends start to notice, especially when she literally waits for him outside of his school, and all of her friends are looking at her like, what are you doing over there? Then after she has a weird interaction with Rintaro's friend Usami, she gets taken back over to the Kikyo girls, who think they're just better and above the hooligans in Chidori. Moving on from episode 2, we see Rentaro start trusting his friends a bit more, and building a good relationship with Waguri. So much so that he actually starts to build a relationship with Waguri's friend, Hoshina, who simply describes him as kind, even though she treated him like shit from the first interaction. That man has incredible patience, bro. Then in episode 7, when Rintaro, Waguri and Hoshina all get jumped, his friends just appear out of nowhere, allowing them to escape. In this moment, we see the relationship that was built in this group was way stronger than Rintaro thought, and it sort of reminded me that sometimes you might be overlooking certain relationships in your life with certain friends. Friends that actually care a lot about you, but they don't really get the chance to show it, or you just don't pay attention. Anyways, after his friends give the beatdown of their lives to the thugs that tried to jump Rintaro and his friends, we see almost an admiration for Rintaro from one of his friends called Yorita. And I think it's this moment that signifies how Rintaro is actually respected by his friends in a genuine way. It's not like they're just friends because they're part of the same group or any superficial reason. And that was really heartwarming. Rintaro is finally coming out of that cocoon and making more progress than he probably ever thought he could. The thing that personally resonated with me was how all of this came from him trying to be with others after being left out for so long. He probably gave up, but after meeting Waguri, he decided to give others a second chance. And that revealed that he had friends around him all this time, but his fear or doubt held him back from truly connecting with them. And there's a lot to be learnt from that. There's a famous saying that a coward dies 1,000 deaths, because all those missed opportunities are chances at becoming a different person. Yet cowards choose what's familiar and kill the version of themselves that could have been. In episode 9, Rintaro actually invites his friends to his house for the first time ever, and his mum, being like many others, prepares an entire menu's worth of items, so it's basically like a mukbang up in there. And this is one of the most interesting episodes for me, because we get the backstory on why this guy has blonde hair and ear piercings, because last time I checked, there aren't many people in Japan who have natural blonde hair. So he tells us about how he went to a bakery with his family and he saw a chef with blonde hair and ear piercings. And then he saw how happy that chef was. So he thought maybe he should get blonde hair and ear piercings too, and he would feel some of that happiness. When his mum agreed to this, that was the happiest he'd felt in a long time, because he'd been denied so many things, like friendships, connections. So after opening up, he jokes about how no one even looked at him in middle school because of this new look he assumed, and no one said anything. If that was me in that situation and I was chilling at the table with my friends and I told them a story that was slightly embarrassing and everyone went silent, I'd change topics so fast you'd forget whatever I said. But the friends this guy has is just... it brings a tear to my eye. His friend Usami asks if he changed a lot since middle school, because if not, then he struggles to see why anyone wouldn't want to be his friend. These characters all have a certain level of thoughtfulness, which I just feel is so hard to come by these days, because too many people are trying to look for reactions and laughs. So if you have a friend who just gives little gestures of kindness here and there, treasure them, because they are precious. Needless to say, trying to work on a relationship with someone will always lift you up out of that lonely spot, because then you start to branch out to others more, because you want to do more things. At the end of the final episode, we see the two MCs, Waguri and Rintaro, confess their love for each other. And, you know, happy ending stuff. I'm not trying to downplay it in any way, I'm just not that type of guy who glorifies romantic stuff. He says as he makes a video on how a romance anime helped him become a better person. I think the lessons I learned from this slice of life anime are gonna stay with me for a long time. How about you? Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe and comment on what I should watch or make a video on next. And let me know what you liked about this video or disliked. I just like reading your comments, guys. Anyways, in a bit.